Alrighty. Well, I appreciate everyone being here. This is the final episode, I should say, of our Social Media Monday series. And we'll be talking about communicating with the public through COVID-19 via social media. If you're just joining us, if you wouldn't mind muting your microphone, and we'll have an open kind of Q&A section at the end here. So on the agenda for today's webinar, we'll talk about some social media trends that we're seeing now during COVID-19. We'll talk about Instagram as a communications tool, different ways to leverage the call to action, and we'll do a deep dive into Instagram stories. And we'll also talk about Facebook as a communications tool. Specifically, we'll dig into hosting or co-hosting events. I'll review some local Facebook groups that you might consider joining. And then we'll also do a tutorial of Facebook Live. So at a very high level, in the face of this crisis that we're experiencing, social media usage has absolutely surged. I think because it offers a connection in a time of social distancing and economic shutdown. This is a picture of our market manager, Kate, holding our social distancing alligator that we have implemented at our farmers markets so folks know to keep 6 feet away from each other. So in doing some preliminary research, I found an interesting study from Kantar Media, who recently surveyed more than 25,000 consumers across 30 markets. And they found that there's been increased usage across WhatsApp, which is a Facebook-owned company, Facebook and Instagram. They've experienced a significant increase in usage from the millennial age group, but I think overall, as you'll see in this next bullet point, that social media engagement on the whole has increased by over 60% of normal usage rates. And so it's clear in kind of looking at those numbers that social media is an ideal tool for communicating with your customers during a time when you're not getting as much face-to-face interaction. And I picked this Instagram post from Smoking Jay's Fiery Foods, where they say that this is our time to be recognized as essential to society and appreciated more than ever. And I think that this really resonated with me because I think it's fairly obvious, but utilizing social media again as a tool to highlight what you have available and why what you're doing is important is ideal. So some tools for action that you can implement in your social media profiles include information on sharing information on how to sign up for a CSA, directing folks to visit you at market, shop at your farm stand, shop at an online store, or even buy a gift certificate. And there are different ways that you can weave these call to actions into your communications with the public. We kind of talked about that a bit in in last week's webinar, but I'm going to share some specific examples that farmers have used in our community that I thought were done very well and that I think can be useful examples for you to all kind of lean into moving forward here. So there's a couple places on Instagram where you can utilize that call to action. You can do that in your profile or bio by sharing a post, whether that be a photo or a video, or through your Instagram story. And again, that can be through a video or a photo. So here's an example of two profiles that utilize the call to action in their bio or profile. The first one here on the left is from Black Trumpet Farm. And so their bio says, gourmet mushrooms and medicinal herbs. Find us Wednesdays 3 to 6 at the Rad Farmers Market outside of Plebe, Asheville. And so the call to action here is come to the farmers market Wednesdays from 3 to 6. And then they have a link to their website. I wanted to find another type of call to action for you. So I pulled this one from Johnny's Seeds. They share information about their organization, and then they're directing folks to this Young Farmers Direct Sales resource sheet. And they put this little downward face, like pointing emoji, so that folks know to click on this link here. And I think that that's a really useful tool for getting people to go to a specific link. So maybe you don't have a resource sheet like this, but instead you put something in your bio that says, check out our website for weekly availability. And then you use this little emoji and include the link to your website. Or online orders need to be in by 5 p.m. Wednesdays with that little emoji, letting folks know, like, hey, get to our online store if you want your produce this week. So there are a couple of different ways that you can utilize the call to action within your bio. It's just kind of a couple examples here for you to chew on. And so here's an example of a call to action within a post. I pulled this from Slate Family Farm. So what they did here was they took a screenshot of their online store. That includes some of their product availability. And then they also said they'll be at market on Saturday, order online and pay just so you're picking up. The link to our store is in our bio, and check us out at North Asheville Tailgate Market's website. And so there's a couple different directives here. And so I think this is kind of a short and sweet call to action, letting folks know like where you can find us and how to get our product. This next one I pulled from Olivet Farm. It's a little more fleshed out than the previous one, but I wanted to include it because they are tagging their partners where you can find their produce, Short of a Chef and All Day Darling weekly grocery orders. And they also are announcing that they're teaming up with a local farm to offer some of their eggs. So what we've been seeing lately is that a lot of these kinds of partnerships are being developed so that produce can get out to the people. So if you're in that kind of a situation where maybe you're doing delivery and you're bringing another farm's product, you have another farm's product available, you kind of tag them in the that post or vice versa. It helps to expand that reach of your post, and it's potentially something that they could also repost so that it helps to just spread that information, spread the word. Okay, so this one's a little lengthy, but I think it really helps resonate with what this farmer is going through. So I pulled this post from the Culinary Gardener. He decided to do more of an informational kind of educational spin on his call to action, getting very kind of vulnerable and explicit about what's going on with his business in light of the COVID-19 epidemic. He's telling a little bit about, in the kind of opening section here where my mouse is, he's talking about his current business operations, the fact that his sales have dropped 75% as a result, as he was selling largely to restaurants. Then he goes on to talk about how he's going to pivot his business by launching a CSA type endeavor. He goes on to talk about what type of product will be included in those boxes. And then finally, he says, if you're interested in being part of our new endeavor and helping us make it through this season, please email me and I'll respond with information you need. And so there's, again, a lot of different ways that you can go about the call to action. This is just one of those that I think creates transparency between the farm and the consumer by really giving folks an understanding of like, hey, our business is on the line here. And if you want to be able to support us, here are the ways in which you can do that. Okay, so we talked about call to action in the bio, within an Instagram post. And now I want to specifically talk about Instagram stories. Instagram stories are posts or videos that last for 24 hours. And those posts are later saved into your archive and can be publicly shared as a highlight in future. And so where those traditional posts, which we just looked at, depend heavily on those mentions or hashtags to build exposure and reach, stories are different. So it's not so much about that caption and the which we just talked about, but about a feeling of a spontaneous video, and it's a little more informal. So here's one example. I took a video from my phone to show you like what a traditional story looks like. Oops, we want to click on this one. Okay, so as you're, let's back up a bit. When you open up your Instagram account, you'll see at the top here your own username, and then these like icons, which are other people's accounts, and it means that they're sharing a story. So I scrolled through here until I came across Sow the Land, and I decided to click on their story. So again, this is a more kind of traditional story, so to speak, where he's kind of documenting his day, watering, shipping out orders, sharing some information about product that he's growing, and I think he also then includes a call to action to get folks to go to his YouTube page to watch a video. This is, again, just one example of what a story looks like. And that's specifically a story that's includes photos only. The next one that I want to share with you is an example of a story that includes a video. Oops. Okay, so this one comes from Flourish Flower Farm. She first took a video and wrote a little caption that says, "Dahlia planting day 1, so grateful for these ladies."
Soon this will all be full of dahlias, and it will be beautiful. And I'm so grateful for these 3 ladies out here helping me plant. Socially distanced, of course.
And so it helps to, again, it's a little more engaging than just looking at a photo, like getting to look at the landscape and see what they're doing on farm. And I think videos can be a little bit more memorable in that way than a photo can. So some of the Instagram stories trends that we're seeing during COVID, Clear, which is a social media analytics firm, they surveyed over 1,000 Instagram users using March 15th as a benchmark date, and found that the number of people who viewed stories increased by over 20% the week of March 15th through the 21st versus the week before. And that trend has just been kind of continuing. So this is an interesting tool to try to utilize. Okay, so here are a couple more examples of how to utilize that call to action specifically within your story. So here's one example from Olivet Farm. They took a picture of some of their greens and wrote, "Orders open for Friday pickup." Hominy Farm took a picture of their bread and said that you can get it on sale at Sovereign Remedies today. And here's another example from Over Mountain Vineyards. They took a screenshot of their website and said, "Visit our website and make a reservation for a winery visit." So a couple different ways to utilize that action and give people direction. If you wouldn't mind muting, please. Okay, and so I recorded a video of how to create a story. So we'll kind of go through that quickly, but using photos only. Okay, so what you're gonna do, when you log into your Instagram account, you'll see here that this will be, again, your profile. So what you're gonna do is click on, I apologize for the blurriness here, but there's a little plus sign here. You're gonna click on that with on your phone. And it'll come up with that lovely and hopefully not so unflattering screen. And if you click this button here and just hold it down, you can start recording a video. But otherwise, what you can do is, if you'll see here where my mouse is, there is a picture of like the latest photo on my camera roll. So I clicked on that on the bottom left, and it brought up my photo roll. And so what I want to do is I want to let folks know that I have raspberries for sale. So I took a picture, this is from last season. So I took a photo of some raspberries, and I'm going to click on that photo. And so now I can edit it however I want, and then upload it to my stories. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on, I want to add some text to this photo. And so what I'm going to do is click on this button in the top right. And I'm going to include the text that I want to share with my followers. Letting folks know I've got raspberries available at the Asheville City Market on Saturday. If you click here, you can customize, and there's a lot of kind of fun things that you can play with around fonts and colors. And you can also just change the size of it by like either expanding or pushing in your fingers essentially by to resize. So I want to place that there. Then just to go back so you can see that in a little more detail. I want to then add I want to tag Asheville City Market in this story. And I can do that by clicking here. This is like a little sticky note with the smiley face. If you click on this, it gives you lots of options to tag folks or create a poll for people to engage in, or do kind of like a Q&A with folks. Again, this is another kind of fun thing to click through and look at the options. And there's also like little clip art things that you can include in your story too. So I clicked on that little guy. And then what I want to do is right here, it says @ and mention. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to tag Asheville City Market, and you'll see them come up. And so when folks see my story and they see that this mention is here, they can click right onto this button, and it'll take them to the Asheville City Market page. And then finally, just because I think it's fun, I wanted to add a little sticker. Again, kind of making it fun and lighthearted. So I just wrote in fruit, and it gives me all these options. And I decided to go with the eat healthy. So this is my final post. And to share it, all I have to do is click down here on the bottom left. It says your story, and it'll be uploaded, and then it'll show up in that top bar, like what we saw with Sow the Land and Flourish, and then all of your followers will be able to see it. And I think it's just another way to share information about your offerings, maybe in a little more like lighthearted, casual way than what you would share in a more traditional post. Right. So moving on, I thought I'd include some power words for you to use in your call to action. That could include get or buy or learn more or sign up. I'll send you a copy of these slides so that you can jot these down and have them available in your notepad moving forward. Okay, and now I want to talk about Facebook as a communications tool. This is a more, again, traditional Facebook post that you would see on your feed. I pulled this from Open Ridge Farm, who's they're letting folks know about their online store being open. I think that, and this has been mentioned in earlier webinars, Facebook is a better tool for sharing, for direct link sharing. So for example, Open Ridge Farm included this link in their post, and when you link to something, it includes a really nice kind of featured photo, and it can be eye-catching. So that's something to consider. So if you're wanting to direct folks to your online store or to your website, then this is going to be a really good tool in addition to some of the other options that we just talked about on Instagram. So one feature of Facebook that I think could be really interesting to experiment with in communicating with the public is to create a Facebook event or co-host a Facebook event. So at a high level, Facebook events are a really great way of increasing your user engagement and creating a recurring effect on a person's profile once they RSVP to an event. So for example, I have RSVP'd to ASAP's Farmers Market. And so whenever ASAP posts in that event, I get a notification about it. And it reminds me, oh, hey, the market's coming up, and it might get my wheels turning on making plans to go. An event page also helps to announce dates and schedules and other important details. You can boost events or share them to Facebook groups. And partnering with other businesses and co-hosts can help to expand your reach. So here's an example of a Facebook event. This is that ASAP Farmers Market event that I was just talking about. We created this a couple months ago to let folks know about the farmers market that we have established at AB Tech in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we, just to walk through this again, kind of just from the top down, we host this event in partnership with AB Tech. And so by inviting AB Tech to be a co-host here, this event will show up on our Facebook page, but also on their Facebook page. So it helps to expand that reach to their audience. We have multiple days for the event, so folks know they can go Thursdays or Saturdays. And we post on a weekly basis, letting folks know about what availability or what farms will be present at each market. And so again, each week, anyone who is RSVP'd to this event, which I think now over 300 people have, they're going to be getting notifications from ASAP about what's going to be available at market that week. And so I know most of you probably don't manage and run farmers markets, but some other good ideas to think about for creating event ideas for your business page are maybe if you do vend at a farmer's market, encourage that market manager to create an event like this one and invite you as a farm and the other vendors who are there to be co-hosts for that event. You can create an event that's a sale, like a Mother's Day sale or a Father's Day sale. It helps to kind of build some anticipation and let folks know that it's going on, and get all the details out to your followers. You can create events for farm tours or you-pick days, maybe for a dinner on the farm and workshops and classes as things kind of start to open up. And if you are feeling comfortable inviting people onto the farm, these are some things that you could offer from an event standpoint. And even like a virtual farm tour, like, hey, we're doing this at this time on our Facebook page. RSVP to hear all the details about when it's going to be happening. And next I want to talk about Facebook groups. So we talked about this a little last week, but again, you can join a group and post to a group as a business account. It's a good way to reach new audiences. It can take a little some time and effort if you want to gain that buy-in and trust from folks in the community within those groups. So one group in particular that I think is, if you are a farm-related business, you should, and you serve folks within the Asheville area, I highly encourage you to join the Asheville Online Farmers Market Facebook group. For a couple of reasons. First, because a lot of folks in the community are asking questions about where they can find local product. But also it's a good, like in this example on the left here, but then it's also a good place for farms to be letting the community know about where they can get their product. So Sarah Martin of Sustainabilities shared a post about a pop-up farmers market at Haywood Common. And so it's a great way to connect directly with folks in the community. Some other groups that I'd encourage you to explore include Real Food Western North Carolina, Western North Carolina Farm and Garden, Asheville Herbivores, Appalachian Food and Friends, and Asheville Foodies. And also just doing research too. I'd say that county-based groups can be a really great option for building community and building your audience. So if you're in Henderson County, then maybe joining a Henderson County moms group, or like a family friendly group, or I know that there's like some county specific events groups, and that could be, those could be interesting to explore as well. And finally, I want to talk about Facebook Live because similarly to an Instagram story that includes a video, it's a great opportunity to connect directly with customers in real time and provide information immediately. There's also the potential to attract a larger audience, and video content is, again, just visually appealing and easy to digest. So here's one example from an organization called Milkwood. They're a permaculture education company. And so what they decided to do for a Facebook Live is do a live Q&A around seed saving. So a couple of days before the scheduled event, they shared this post asking their community, hey, do you have questions around seed saving? Let's have a conversation about it. And so it helped to kind of, again, build that anticipation. And then this is what it looks like when it eventually when a business goes live. It's, again, a real-time conversation where people can just click here to comment and ask any questions that they might have around a particular topic. And I think this one was like at least an hour long. you're welcome to go onto their page to kind of get an understanding of what that looks like. But again, it's a great way to, in real time, connect with your customer base. And so some kind of brainstorm ideas for farms on how to utilize the Facebook Live could be host a Facebook Live to share updates about your online store and availability. You could do a virtual farm tour or a cooking demo. You could take a live video during a big planting day or harvest day, or host a Q&A about your business practices or your experience in farming, or it could be open-ended, just ask a farmer kind of a conversation. Okay, and finally, I want to show you all how to host a Facebook Live on your phone and then on the computer, because it's going to look different if you're using your phone to host these kind of events versus if you're doing it on a laptop or desktop. So I took another video on my phone for you all on how to do the Facebook Live from mobile. You're going to need the Facebook app in order to do that. So we'll play from the top here. And so what you're going to do is when you log into the Facebook app, you'll click on your business page. And it's going to look something like this, but it'll say your farm or business name. And I'm just going to play here. And you'll scroll down. This is where you would typically write a little story to create a post. But in order to go live, it's actually pretty intuitive. You'll just click the live button here. And so it will either be facing you or facing out. You just click this button here to turn it around if you want to be, doing a beautiful panorama of your farm or whatever it might be. And you just click Start Live Video, and that's how you do it. You need to have the Facebook app, though, in order to do a Facebook Live from your phone. So now I'm going to show you quickly how to do that on Facebook, your Facebook page. And so here I am on Amy's farm. To go live, again, pretty intuitive. You'll just click here on the live button. And it's, there's this they call this the live producer. So there's a couple steps to go through to make sure that you have everything lined up correctly. To get started, I'm just going to use my camera on my computer. So I'll click Use Camera, and there I am. You can choose to use your front camera or share your screen. So there's a couple different setup options here that you'll want to look at. I think this is a good thing to enable. Anyone who visits your page will be able to see your live videos in the live tab. That just, again, expands the reach of that video. And then after you created the video and it wraps up, there'll be a URL that's created for that video. So for example, if you want to send it out to folks on your newsletter who couldn't make it to that event, or if you want to upload it to YouTube, if you have a YouTube channel, this will be a good resource for that. What's also interesting is that you can add in a live video title. So if I'm going to do Ask a Farmer, live Q&A. Bring me your burning questions. This will show up on your Facebook page just to give folks an idea. So it's not just your face that shows up, but there's some context provided there too. Like, hey, this is what's going on, and jump in if you're interested. Some other pieces that you could potentially include in your live from the computer is a poll, like, what's your favorite veggie? Or something that you want to kind of glean from your audience, like what farmers market do you shop at, or do you shop at the farmers market? So that's an interesting thing to include for engagement purposes. And then you can also ask questions to folks that can pop up as the live video goes on. And then all you'll do is click go live here, and that'll be streaming out to your audience. So there's a couple more things that I wanted to review here with you. I wanted to share some information about an upcoming webinar that is not hosted by us, but is hosted by a great resource here in the community called JB Media. They'll be hosting a webinar called Marketing Tips for Navigating Times of Change. That's happening this Wednesday from 12:10 to 1 o'clock, and it's free for anyone who wants to attend. I'll send a follow-up email with a link to that webinar. If you're interested, you can go ahead and register from there. And I know that was a lot of information, so I'm going to open up the floor to questions. And let me just pull this up. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute or type into the chat box, and I'm happy to answer any that might come to mind for you all. All right, well, I appreciate your being here. Again, if you have any specific questions about anything that was reviewed in today's webinar, please feel free to email me, and I'm happy to connect. I'm also offering one-on-one consulting for farmers in our Appalachian grown region. I'll send out an email that includes a copy of this video as well as a copy of the slides for you to use for future reference. But I hope that this was helpful and useful for you all. And again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions regarding social media moving forward here. And enjoy the rest of this beautiful sunny day. Take care, y'all.